From the NewsChannel 8 studios, let's talk live with your hosts, Natasha Barrett and Doug McKelway.
And we're going to take a look at the impact that your life is having on the world's oceans. We're going to find out more when we take a look at a brand new film called A Sea of Change. You know, many people nowadays, in the face of a lot of scientific evidence and much of the reporting in the media about man-made global warming, are turning to green lifestyles.
But one resource that's being neglected in all of the talk about global warming is our oceans. Until now. A film is in production that will change the way you look at our oceans.
There he is. Right out there. You see it? There he is. It's huge.
Ocean chemistry is being altered on a scale not seen for millions of years.
The purpose of this journey is to find out some things about the world's oceans that I don't really understand.
The more acid we put in the ocean, fundamentally bad things will happen.
We're playing poker. If we lose at the poker, we could have a lot of problems for civilization.
And the filmmakers behind A Sea of Change are here, Barbara Ettinger and her husband Sven Huseby. Thanks for being here.
Well, it's our pleasure.
Now, Sea of Change is about to be showcased at the International Environmental, Film Fest this Saturday in D.C., right?
Right here at the National Museum of Natural History, and we're delighted to be here, and we're delighted to the festival for inviting us.
So break it down for us. What is happening with we talk about the climate change, global warming so much, many people hear about that, but with the oceans, what's going on?
Let me try to put it briefly.
Okay.
And we were really inspired to make this film because we'd read Elizabeth Kolbert's article in the New Yorker back in November of 2006. We thought of ourselves as informed environmentalists, and we didn't know about ocean acidification. So we had just finished a film. We'd promised ourselves a break, so much for that promise, and went to work trying to find out what was going on. And what has happened is that because as the world decided to move beyond the Industrial Revolution, we unconsciously made a decision to fuel that development with combustion of fossil fuels, coal, oil, gas. And when it burns, it gives off carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide goes into the atmosphere. 30% of that falls in the oceans, which cover 70% of the globe. When it's absorbed by the oceans, it makes the oceans increasingly acidic. And the pH of the oceans has fallen by 30% since 1850.
And what are we seeing, Barbara, so far? What evidence are we seeing in the ocean of damage?
Well, it's fascinating. Just recently, just a couple of days ago, actually, the first real evidence from the oceans was presented that the shells of tiny little marine creatures, such as pteropods, are 30% thinner than they were post-industrial revolution. What that means is it makes it much more difficult for those little organisms to survive. Now, the big problem is that those little organisms are the food source for most fish. So if that food source vanishes, we begin to look at a very, very serious problem of a total collapse.
Big confession to make here.
Uh-oh.
I remain probably the last reporter in mainstream media who remains somewhat skeptical of all this. And I try very hard, because I think not to do so is journalistic malpractice, to look at scientists who are skeptics as well as those who do believe in this. And I'm very curious what in a very broad sense, what is the danger of the planet warming? We have seen warm cycles in the past before the Industrial Revolution. There have been cycles of ice ages and warming periods. The whole Middle Ages was a period of incredible heat. Cold kills a lot more people and a lot more animals than warm does. What is the risk of the planet warming, if in fact it is?
Well, to be honest, our issue is really ocean acidification. So we're probably not the ones to get into a conversation about global warming. And there is concrete evidence of this change in the oceans and the fact that there is man-made CO2 in the oceans as opposed to naturally produced CO2 in the oceans. I don't know if you want to address the bigger global warming.
Well, it's ironic that as we're sitting here now, scientists are sitting simultaneously in Copenhagen sharing all the accumulated evidence around not only climate change but ocean acidification in preparation for the meeting of the United Nations Climate Change Committee in December of this year. And our dream in making the film was to try to bring to the public this whole issue of ocean acidification, where there is broad unanimity and very few naysayers involved about the fact.
I guess the bigger question is, though, if you assume that this is happening and the scientific community is moving towards remedying the situation, if it is possible to remedy it, and there are skeptics about that because of the cost that you would impose upon world society, what we have to examine what the costs are and what the remedies are. And if you look at the remedies, you're going to have to remove for a large portion of the world's population the kinds of energy that they presently use. And in third world countries, that means shortened lives and hardship, means famine and early death. Is that something that you want to impose on people?
You know, the cost of not doing something is even greater than that. It's starvation. It's people without jobs. It's dysfunctional communities along the coastlines that rely on seafood for their to be able to support their families. So ultimately, the cost of doing nothing is far greater than the cost of deciding whether or not it's going to be too expensive to try to explore these possibilities. But you know, the scientists need more funds to be able to investigate this further. They're at a precipice right now. They're beginning to make enormous discoveries about what exactly is happening and what can be done. And as you said, if anything.
I think even the deniers agree with you on that. They want better satellites. They want better science to find. Because even the skeptics say if we come to evidence that it's not happening, we want to be able to investigate that.
Scientists are ready to go.
And
they're eager to
Doug, the really interesting thing for me, and I think for us, and I hope for the viewers of the film, is that we got out there and met people in the marketplace. We met engineers, we met venture capitalists, we met people who said making that change, converting the world from running on fossil fuel to new sources of energy, is going to be the biggest economic explosion that the globe has seen in modern times.
And also probably one of the most difficult right now because we are so married to what we do and so dependent on things like that. Barbara, Sven, both of you, thank you for coming and joining us today.
I hope people will join us on Saturday.
Look forward to seeing the film. Thank you.
Up next, a look at some of the best food you can eat to improve your overall health.
And Kyle's going to be here with a look at a movie that stars a former professional.